This changes everything. Just hours ago, Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb published a bombshell report, and what it reveals could rewrite our understanding of what's happening behind our sun right now. The interstellar object Atlas, the mysterious visitor that reached perihelion this morning at 7:47 a.m. Eastern Time, is accelerating in ways that gravity alone cannot explain. For the first time, we have direct evidence of non-gravitational acceleration, meaning something is pushing this object in a direction that our star's gravity cannot account for. This isn't speculation. This isn't a theory. This is measured data, filed by Davide Farnocchia, a navigation engineer at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, who holds a PhD in mathematics from the University of Pisa. Let me tell you what they found, and why the next few weeks just became the most critical observation period in modern astronomy. Before we dive into this breaking discovery, let's quickly recap what makes Atlas so extraordinary. This is the third interstellar object ever detected, moving at 58 kilometers per second through our solar system, with an estimated diameter of 5 kilometers. That makes it 1,000,000 times more massive than Oumuamua, and 1,000 times larger than Borisov. The only other confirmed interstellar visitors we've ever observed, but size and speed are just the beginning. Atlas has accumulated 8 statistical anomalies that, when multiplied together, yield odds of 1 in 10 quadrillion of occurring naturally. Its trajectory aligns perfectly with our planetary disk. It exhibited a sunward jet-defying physics. Its composition resembles industrial alloys, and most remarkably, it arrived from the same direction as the famous 1977 WOW signal. Avi Loeb ranked it a 4 on his scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is definitely natural and 10 is definitely technological. And now, at perihelion, as it passed just 203 million kilometers from our sun, something happened. Here's what the data shows. The non-gravitational acceleration was measured at perihelion distance of 1.36 astronomical units from our sun. That's 203 million kilometers. And it has 2 distinct components, both in the orbital plane of Atlas. First, a radial acceleration away from the sun, pushing the object outward at 135 kilometers per day squared. Second, a transverse acceleration, perpendicular to the sun's direction, at 60 kilometers per day squared. Think about what this means. Something is actively pushing Atlas, not just away from the sun, but also sideways relative to its trajectory. This is not how gravity works. This is not random. This is directional force being applied to a 5-kilometer object in deep space. Now, there are 2 possible explanations for this acceleration, and both have profound implications. The first possibility: massive outgassing. If Atlas is a natural comet experiencing extreme heating at perihelion, it could be ejecting gas at high velocity through what scientists call the rocket effect. When gas escapes from one side of an object, it pushes the object in the opposite direction, like a thruster. But here's the problem with that explanation. Loeb calculated that if this acceleration comes from thermal gas ejection at a few hundred meters per second, Atlas would lose half its mass in just 6 months. Half its mass in 6 months. That means over the 1 month it takes Atlas to move through its perihelion region, it would lose about 10% of its total mass. We're talking about a 5-kilometer object shedding hundreds of millions of tons of material in a matter of weeks. If this is happening, we should see a massive plume of gas surrounding Atlas, something so large and bright it would be unmistakable. ESA's JUICE spacecraft, which makes its flyby in the first week of November, should detect this immediately. Then on December 19th, when Atlas comes closest to Earth at 269 million kilometers, hundreds of ground-based telescopes plus Hubble and Webb will have the best view we've ever had. If there's a tenth of the object's mass floating around it as gas and dust, we'll see it. There's no way to hide that kind of material loss. But what if we don't see massive outgassing? What if the plume isn't there, or isn't large enough to explain the acceleration? That brings us to the second possibility. And this is where things get truly extraordinary. The acceleration could be the technological signature of an internal engine. An engine firing right now, behind our sun, on a 5-kilometer object from interstellar space. And there's new evidence that makes this possibility impossible to dismiss. A paper just published based on observations from Stereo, SOHO, and GOES 19 instruments shows Atlas experienced rapid brightening during September and October, scaling inversely with distance from the Sun to the power of -7. That's an extremely steep brightening curve, far more dramatic than typical comets. But here's the 9th anomaly, the one that just appeared. Observers report that Atlas is getting bluer than the Sun. Let me explain why this is shocking. For a natural comet, this should be impossible. Dust reflects and scatters sunlight, and it always reddens it, making objects appear more orange or red than the Sun itself. Additionally, the surface of Atlas is estimated to be 20 times colder than the Sun's photosphere, which is 5,800 degrees Kelvin. Cold objects emit redder light, not bluer light. Yet Atlas is blue, bluer than our star. There are only two explanations. Either this is ionized carbon monoxide producing unusual spectral signatures in a natural comet, or we're looking at something hot, something artificial, a heat source that cannot be explained by solar heating alone, a hot engine, or artificial light. Loeb calculated the spatial deviation caused by this acceleration. Over a 1-month period, Atlas will deviate from its purely gravitational path by about 10 times Earth's radius. That's roughly 60,000 kilometers of course change. It's not enough to significantly alter which planets it approaches, but it's enough to be measured, to be tracked, to be confirmed. And that confirmation is coming in days. Loeb ended his report with a story from today. The data is telling us something extraordinary is happening, whether or not we have a comfortable explanation for it. So what happens now? The next 6 weeks are absolutely critical. November 4th through 10th, JUICE flyby. The spacecraft passes 64 million kilometers from Atlas and captures the first post-perihelion observations. We'll see if there's massive outgassing, if the coma has expanded dramatically, if material is streaming away from the nucleus in quantities consistent with 10% mass loss. December 19th, closest approach to Earth. Every major observatory turns toward Atlas. James Webb captures thermal signatures in infrared. Hubble images the nucleus and coma in unprecedented detail. Ground-based telescopes track its exact trajectory, measuring velocity changes down to meters per second. By Christmas, we'll have the data. We'll know if the blue color persists. We'll know if the brightness continues its unusual curve. We'll know if the non-gravitational acceleration continues, increases, or stops. And most importantly, we'll know if there's a massive cloud of sublimated ice surrounding Atlas, or if the object remains relatively intact despite exhibiting acceleration that should be tearing it apart. March 16, 2026. Jupiter encounter. NASA's Juno probe makes observations as Atlas passes 54 million kilometers from the gas giant. Final trajectory measurements confirm whether the object followed gravitational physics plus outgassing, or whether something more directed occurred. The implications are staggering. If Atlas is natural, we're witnessing a completely new class of interstellar comet with properties unlike anything we've encountered. We're learning that objects from other stellar systems can have chemistries, compositions, behaviors that challenge our fundamental definitions. But if Atlas is artificial, If that acceleration comes from technology, then we're watching an extraterrestrial probe navigate through our solar system. A civilization capable of building, launching, and guiding a 5-kilometer object across interstellar space. A civilization with engineering capabilities that make our most advanced rockets look like toys. Right now, as you're watching this, Atlas is behind the sun, accelerating in ways gravity cannot explain, getting bluer when it should get redder, possibly shedding enormous amounts of mass, or possibly firing an engine we cannot yet see. In less than a week, JUICE makes contact, data flows in, the first images arrive, and then we'll start getting answers to questions humanity has asked for thousands of years. This is not abstract speculation about distant possibilities. This is happening now, in our solar system, with an object we can observe, measure, and analyze. The mystery is unfolding in real time. Stay connected, because what happens in the next 6 weeks could change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. The data is coming. The truth is coming, and we're about to witness it together.